So Kai-June just finished for me. It is the first day of Julycanthropy. I did not even know that existed until today. I know some of the monthly challenges off the top of my head, but not all of them. And Julycanthropy doesn't seem to be super well known anyway. But we're going to create a character that I can maybe do Julycanthropy with. I usually only do 2 or 3 days of a challenge because I'm busy and easily distracted. But we're going to see if I can do, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. And I'm going to use New Moon as the day my character is not transforming to design a character I can use to try and get through all of these. Have something to show.
So the thing about this was that I had already actually done 2 mock-ups of this. One was mostly a finished, completed version of a character I decided I didn't like, and the second was basically a mock-up of the pose I am trying to do now. What I wanted, and what I ended up with in both cases, but which I like better in this one, was a werewolf who is not ashamed to be a werewolf. So in the first image, he was very smug, and I found him insufferable. He was very like skater boy punk, insufferable, awful. I didn't like him. What happened was I wanted him to be proud to be a werewolf, but I didn't think about how that would work really, and I was just kind of going with like the Seattle vibes for some reason. He was gonna be in a beanie and I was gonna give him some plaid. I don't know, man. I don't know what I was thinking there. So unlike the Chicago Protector, this is really more of a top-down design in wanting a werewolf who does not mind being a werewolf, and originally I wanted to be very proud of being a werewolf, but that didn't go well. So I worked down from the idea of a werewolf who is proud to be a werewolf, or at least fine being a werewolf, and made the character based on that idea, instead of having something they were doing and building the character from that. So that's top down. After drawing my insufferable bastard in a fairly boring pose, I was just kind of wanting to do an interesting pose. I had already decided that I wanted this character to be a man, but I wanted to do just a fun pose, and I had just been playing with poses. That's what my second mock-up was, and it ended up in a ballerino kind of pose. And so I went with that, and this werewolf is a ballerino, and he just takes full moons off. He is fine with being a werewolf. He has no issues with it. He's just not super proud of it, but he's not ashamed of it or anything. It's just kind of a part of his life. A lot of this drawing is me trying to get that filthy leg to work because it was a pain in the mule. And my anatomy is fairly good for all that I draw really long arms and legs, but my perspective is shame. So I had a lot of trouble with this leg, and I ended up actually referencing pirouettes on Google Images, and that helped, but I couldn't find one from exactly this angle, and so I was having a little trouble with getting the perspective and proportions right, even though I had reference images, but I did manage, and those reference images really did help me a lot, because I got the leg in the actual right position for a pirouette. At this point in the drawing, it might be in the right position for a different kind of spin, but for a spin from a pirouette, it's wrong, and I couldn't tell you if there is a kind of spin that this works for. It's just been too long since I did ballet, and I was never high level. I was only a kid. You can see my hand moving around there trying to get proportions right for leg to leg, but we're gonna move on. So I finally have his body done, thank golly, and I have some idea of what I want his clothes to be by this point. I want them to be kind of loose fit capris with an elastic cuff that do have pockets. I kind of wanted to put him in cargos at first, and then I was like, I don't want to have to draw cargos 5 or 6 times this month. I don't hate myself enough. For a long time while I was doing the body, I was just going to put him in point shoes for reasons I don't entirely understand, because I knew I was going to put him in street clothes. You can't really see it at the bottom there, but I'm trying to figure out his shoes. I know I want him in street shoes now, not point shoes, but I didn't know how to do it. I can't really draw shoes. I gave him kind of a Sokka haircut, but with a bun instead of a wolf tail, and then I'm still trying to figure out the shoes there. I'm like, how the hell do shoes work? I don't know. I put him in a crop top. I was going to put a graphic on it, but I couldn't think of something clever. I'm sure I could have thought of something stupid, but I couldn't think of something clever, so he's just in a white crop top. In my mind, he's also got a jacket that's kind of an army green like jacket that has elastic or a tie at the waist. I don't end up drawing that in this picture, and I may not end up drawing that this month at all. I don't know, but in my mind he has it. One of the reasons I'm fussing with this hand so much is because I don't want to fuss with the shoes. I'm afraid of them and I don't want to work on them, so I'm still thinking with the hand instead. Stalling tactic of all artists everywhere. Work on the thing you kind of know what you're doing, so you can avoid doing the thing you don't know what you're doing. So I finally gave up pretending I understand how shoes work and just found some high tops on the internets as reference, and that helped a lot, shockingly. I used more reference for this picture than I usually do, even though it was supposed to be a pretty quick thing, and part of the reason I did that was because I want it to be able to be a quick thing in future, so I want it to be relatively detailed despite being quick. I want to be able to come back to this page and be like, what is going on with this character? This is more than anything a reference image, even though it has more pose and stuff than most reference images I do have. Most of them are fairly static, and this one is it's got more movement to it, but this is essentially just a reference picture for me to come back to as I go through the rest of the month. So yeah, I gave him some jewelry because I felt like it. Added a few more wrinkles and folds to the body because I like having them there even on fit people. And added a few more wrinkles and folds to the clothing. And that is that. There he is done. And he will get me through the rest of the month, hopefully. How much of that will be shown, I don't know. I've already got a few others for this month, so we'll see how many I actually get done and how many of the ones I get done actually end up on the channel. But who knows?